type that we created in our last tutorials. So in this tutorial, I'm gonna remove this delete button from each of these elements. So what I'll do, if you long click on any item, I'll set it as selected, and I'll show one tick mark here, and one delete button I'll add on this menu bar. So using this delete button, you can delete the items. The first thing I'm gonna do is remove the delete item that we have in the list item file. So let's go here and let me zoom it a little bit. So here we have this delete button. First, create one new drawable. Right click, new, vector asset. So I'm gonna use this one, IC baseline done. So you can find it from these icons. So if you search it for done, then this one I'm using. Okay, so I'm setting the color as green. Let me make it a little bit lighter. Then next, let me change the icon name to IC done. Next, and it will put it here in this drawable folder. Finish. This is a vector file, and this is our icon. So in the list item, instead of this delete icon, I'm gonna show this IC done. This will be shown only if we are pressing this this list item for a long time, not for its click. If you press it for a long time, then this will be shown. So by default, I'm gonna set it as gone. So it's not here. In the main activity, I'm gonna show one delete icon here in this toolbar. So for that, I need to create one menu. Right click, new, and on this Android resource file, resource type, it's of type menu, main menu. Suppose the name is main menu and its directory is menu. So let's go OK. Then it created one menu, but we don't have any item in this menu. So if I go here to the design, then I can add one menu item here. So one item is added. Now if I go to the split mode, I can change the title as delete, and let me add one ID, menu delete. Let me add one icon here, Android icon, drawable, IC baseline delete. This is the delete icon, and also I'm gonna add it as show always. So it will be shown always on the top right. This is the icon that we have for delete. Let me create one new icon here. This is a bit gray, so if I go to this clip part, then delete, and let me change the color to white. So let me name it as IC delete. Next, and hit finish. Now I can use this IC delete. Okay, it looks a bit better. Now we need to load this menu in this main activity file. So here we need to use two methods. One is to load this menu, and another one is to add actions on the menu. Let means if the user clicks on this delete button, then what we want to do. So it's we need to override two functions. One is on create options menu. So here I need to use menu inflator.inflate. So it says that which menu file we want to inflate for this activity. We can create like multiple menu files. So we have this main menu that just now we created. So I'm inflating this menu files. Now if I run this application, then you can see that we have this delete button here, and we don't have this delete buttons on each of these items. Okay, let me add one margin for this second text box. This margin right. Let me add it as 10 dp. Okay. So now what I'm gonna do, so if the user will click on this any out of these items for a long time, then we can show this tick mark. For that, we have to go to this adapter class. So here we have this delete button click listener. I'm gonna delete this one, and I'm gonna add one listener for the constraint layout that we have. Constraint layout is, this is the constraint layout, and if you see here, the constraint layout is that whole layout. So for the constraint layout, I'm gonna add one on long tick listener. So here what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna call one method mark select item, and I'm gonna pass the index. So let me create this new method. So this method will mark one item as selected, and it will show this tick icon here. So for that, we need to add one new boolean value to this property. So this property defines one item here. So it holds all these titles and description, all these items. So I'm gonna add one new value here, selected. Suppose its type is boolean, and let me add it as false. By default it's false. So if the item is selected, then we will change it to true. So once this will be called mark item selected, then what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna check for each item in the list, and I'm gonna deselect all of these items. Selected is false. So if you have one item selected here, and if you long press on the second item, then this item will be deselected and this item will be selected. Okay, we need it as variable. So this is variable, not value. And I'm gonna get the item at index, and I'm gonna mark it as selected true. Also, we will create one new variable here. We will hold the currently selected item. So after the item is selected, then if I click on this delete button, then it will delete that item. So we need to store that that position in some variable. So I'm going to create one new variable here, current selected index. Let me initialize it as -1. Here I'm going to set it as current selected index equal to index. If you call this method notify data sensed, it will, let me restart it. Okay, we are returning one boolean, so let me return this as true. Yeah, this is not, we need this curly bracket here. So now restart this app. If I long press on any of this item, it's not showing it here because we have not write down the logic. So when we want to show this and when we want to hide this id of this item is button, id is button, and here we need to define that logic, like if it is selected then show it, and if it is not selected then hide it. So if property, this is the property that we are getting in the bind method, it's selected equal to true, then button dot visibility equal to view dot visible, so show it, else button dot visibility equal to view dot gun, else hide it. Now if I restart the app, if I long press on any item, then you can see that it shows that tick mark icon, then it is selected. But we also need one way to deselect any item, like if I click on this item then it should be deselected. For that one, let me add as constraint layouts dot set on click listener, and for this on click listener I'm gonna create one new method, deselect one item. So it is deselect item, and I'm going to pass the index for this new function. So let me create this new function, deselect item, and the index of type integer. Here the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to check the current index, if this is equal to this index or not. If the current selected index is equal to index, that means we are clicking on the same item that is already selected. So here I'm going to set it as -1. So I'm going to, then from list data I'm going to get the item for this index, and I'm going to set it as selected equal to false. Then I'm going to call this notify dataset changed. So that long click here, then it's select. If I click on this here, it deselect. If I click on any other item, then it's still selected. Okay, done. But one thing here, that we don't want to show this delete icon always. We want to show this only if any of this item is selected. Otherwise we don't need to show this icon. In the class we need to define this, like when we want to show the delete icon and we don't want to show it, but we don't have any reference of the delete icon in this class myAdapter. We have the reference in main activity class. Only in this main activity class we can show and hide the delete icon. Whenever we're creating the main menu, we need to take one reference, we need to store the reference of this main menu so that we can get the delete icon from the main menu and we can show and hide it. So for that, create one private variable, main menu of type menu. Now, then when we are creating this menu on create options menu, then set the value of this main menu as this menu. We need to create one new function here. We create this private function, so it will show or hide that delete button. So hide delete. Let me pass on boolean value here. If it's true, then it will show that menu item, delete item, and if it is false, then it will hide it. So for that, we need to get this item from this menu that we stored. Find item. Here, pass the ID of this menu item. So it's menu delete. Dot is visible equal to show. So based on that show, we are hiding and showing this delete item. So here, after the first load, we are going to hide it. So I am passing it as false. This function we have to call from this adapter class. So for that, whenever we are creating this adapter, this is my adapter. Previously we passed one function that is for delete item, but now we don't want to call the delete item from here. I'm gonna pass one show hide delete. We don't need this on click delete here because we don't have any delete item in each of this list item. So previously this was used if we're clicking the delete button here, then this was called, but we don't need it here. We have this delete button in the main activity, so we can access this item, and we can also get the click listener in the main activity directly. So here I have changed it to show hide delete, and here we need to pass on boolean value. So we can directly call it from anywhere we are changing the list. So if we mark selected item, then we are actually selecting one item. In that case, we need to call this as true, so that delete button. And here we are deselecting the item, so call this as false, that means hide the delete button. Also remove this on click delete that we don't need now. This was called before if we are clicking on this delete button here. And also for the horizontal recycler view that we created, here also we don't need this one. Change it to show hide delete. So now restart the app. Now if I long press a new item, then you can see that this delete item is shown here, and if I deselect it, then it's gone. So if any item is here, if I click on this delete item, then it should delete that item. So for that, we need to override one more method here on options item selected, called if we click any of the menu item. So currently we have only one item here, this is a delete item. So here we can check if item.item id, if the id is equal to r.id.menu delete, then we can call one method to delete that item. So suppose this name is delete item. We have previously one delete item function here. So previously we passed the index, but currently we don't want this index, so it will show one alert dialog. So similarly that we created before we were changing the data that we have in the main activity, but we don't want to remove it now. So we'll directly call the adapter class to delete the selected item. Don't need this one. So we can directly call one method in the adapter class. Suppose it is delete selected item, and after that we can hide the delete button. We don't have this method in this adapter class, so let me create it. Here I'm gonna create this method. So it will check what is our current selected index. If it is not null, not equal to -1, then we have something deleted, selected. So it will remove that item from this list of data. Remove it index. So the index we want to remove from this current selected index. Then we'll call this notify dataset changed to reload the recycler view. So this is called from this. I put it inside the view holder, but we don't need to put it inside this view holder class. So we can put it directly in the adapter class. For that, in that class, and we need it only to do all the operations that are related to the views. so we don't need anything. Those are not related to views. If you're modifying any items in a view or in the list, then we need to put it in the adapter class, not inside this view holder class. So if I now long press on item and if I click on this delete button, then it shows that do you want to delete this item. If I click delete, then it deletes that item. So if I go here, then if I click delete and delete, it deletes that item. So that's all for now. If you love this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Bye.